Well, there's nothing like starting the day out with a little bit of nightmare fuel. Over the weekend, Vincent D'Onofrio dove in a little bit into the rights surrounding the Kingpin and how they fit in between Marvel and Sony, and it's something, as a fan, I'm seriously worried about. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what he said, what the impact on the character could be moving forward, and why it appears he's not voicing the character for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, before we do that, though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos. We want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are in the know. Well, when fans talk about some of the best castings in superhero history, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin definitely makes it close to the top of the list. He first played the Kingpin of crime, Wilson Fisk, in Netflix Daredevil, and continued to play the character for 3 seasons before the show finally ended. He made his first appearance in the MCU in Marvel Studios' Hawkeye series, and since then we've been circling his return, with him once again showing up in Echo. Now, Charlie Cox has shown up in quite a few places, including Spider-Man No Way Home, and along with Vincent D'Onofrio in Echo, with both characters set to return to their full-time status in the upcoming Born Again series. Now, back in 2022, we actually learned that Charlie Cox will indeed voice Daredevil in the upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Sadly, though, it appears that Vincent D'Onofrio joining his counterpart in the series is really far from guaranteed. Now, over the weekend, they both appeared at Fan Expo over in Boston and did a full-on panel and talked a lot of Marvel. And when it came to the Kingpin, D'Onofrio said a lot. While he was on stage, he actually said, "I'm going to transparently say this. You know the whole Marvel-Sony thing, right? So there are characters, Marvel characters invented by Marvel, written by Marvel, that are caught in between Marvel and Sony, and so it takes a long time for them to figure out who is doing what. I just never know where Kingpin can show up. My character is in that kind of situation, unlike Charlie's, so I don't know. It's part of the deal when it comes to playing Kingpin." Now, this should sound pretty familiar to many people because this is exactly what was going on with Fox when it came to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who in the past have been part of the X-Men and the Avengers. And it appears the same thing is true for, well, the Kingpin. If you remember correctly, Fox did a Daredevil movie way back in 2003, and the late Michael Clark Duncan played the character for Fox. To compound all this, the villain hasn't appeared in animation since 2003's Spider-Man the New Animated Series, and it further complicates matters because Disney actually holds Spider-Man TV rights, at least for animation, and this explains why they're able to produce shows like Ultimate Spider-Man and the Spider-Man series in place of Sony. Now, quite honestly, like I said, this is nightmare fuel, because what this means is that Sony, in theory, could use their own version of the Kingpin on the big screen if they actually wanted to. Recent films from Sony have not been very good, and you know they're looking for a big villain and somebody to connect with fans, so I could understand why the studio, in its search for dollars, could actually want to develop the character, because D'Onofrio has kind of made him a household name, and I'm sure they want to take advantage of that. I feel like all of this is going to keep fans on their toes, and I'm really hoping the creatives behind the scenes get this right. Like we said, Vincent D'Onofrio's version of the character is considered one of the best castings ever, and the guy truly loves playing the Kingpin, so having him back in the MCU is big, but many fans absolutely want him part of Spider-Man's world, and he's hugely rumored for the 4th movie, so I think all of these details need to be heavily considered when we're trying to figure out what's going to happen in the 4th outing. Having the Kingpin as part of the movie is far from guaranteed, and we all should be a little concerned if the character's, well, gravitas gets diluted by one studio trying to take advantage of the rights situation. Now, obviously, a lot goes on behind the scenes between Sony and Marvel, and I'm really hoping they work all this out, but this is something I am seriously worried about and concerned that the Kingpin's future appearances could be on both sides of the studio wall, which ultimately could lead to Vincent D'Onofrio walking away from the character because he is clearly a guy that cares about the delivery of the character on the screen. How all this works out, well, we're going to have to wait and see.